Well, if you're dealing with office politics and being set up to fail, so in promotions, we used to call those widowmakers, have I got a psalm for you? Psalm 59. And I've got a few battle scars here. Um, I'll tell you maybe one or two, and we'll talk about David's as a background for this. But I wish I had been smart enough to learn some of what David prayed to walk through this. But so let me tell you one or two of my battle stories, and we'll tell you one or two of David's, and then we'll go through the psalm. Think office politics and being set up to fail. Friendly fire. When I was in school, in undergraduate school, I was one of 3 women in the chemistry field. And it was not easy. And lots of women in biology, but not chemistry. And there's only one bathroom for women in the science building. It was in the lobby for visitors. So that's the perspective and my background. When I move out to the East Coast, start working in a large manufacturing facility where, other than the office building was separate, where, there were more women there. There were, accountants and whatever. In the manufacturing side of the plant, I was the only female supervisor and manager and, just technical person. All the other females that were there were women as secretaries. And I used to get, whatever. It wasn't easy. Weld shop manufacturing in the 70s and early 80s in Appalachia. And then I took a job, I moved to Baltimore area. And all these people and all these things were giving you promotions to set you up to fail, to say, see, women can't handle it. We need to give this job to a man. And paying me 25 to 50% less than folks that hadn't gone to college, but I digress. Those are my battle scars. Being set up to fail, maliciously, intentionally, to justify, oh, well, let's hire a guy instead of a. So I learned to overcome and make a game of it to some extent, to do twice as well, but also succeed. And sometimes, well, it was God, but I succeeded where everybody expected me to fail. And it wasn't easy. So I thought of those days when I was going through the Psalm 59. And the background of this is David. This is before he was king. He was working for Saul, the first king of Israel. And the story is in 1 Samuel 18 and 19. But this is, Saul takes him into his household after he killed Goliath. And Saul is not happy because the people like David. And so we basically have a PR war going on here. So the first thing he does is make him in charge of all these troops, hoping that the Philistines are going to kill him off for him and do the dirty work for him. And then he tries to uh, marry him off to his oldest daughter, and David's like, I'm nobody. I don't need. I who am I to be your son-in-law? So he's also in and out of favor during this time, and Jonathan, who's David's best friend and Saul's son, talks his dad back off the wall, as far as he's going to kill David. So he's in and out of favor, in and out of favor. And then Saul tries to set him up again and says, well, why don't you go ahead and marry my youngest daughter, because his oldest daughter got married off to somebody. And his youngest daughter, Michal, really liked David. So he sets up this whispering campaign to convince David to marry. And David's like, who am I? Of course, he didn't have any money. And Saul says, well, 100 foreskins of the Philistines will do it. Thinking again, I can look like the big guy and give him this offer and this promotion, but nobody can kill 100 Philistines, So, anyway, so David does. And so all of a sudden, Saul's caught in his word. And again and again and again. So David is slandered during the day, and at night there's a stake out around his house because Saul's sent people to kill him. So you're dealing with all this political back chatter and slander during the day. And at night, people are literally trying to kill you, and they're just doing what Saul told them to do. And how does David respond? I think it's interesting because he's like, all right, God, I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to wait for you. You're my wisdom. You're my strength. You're my refuge. You're my defense. I'm going to wait for you. He does not lash out at his enemies. But it's interesting because when he asks God to move, he says, do not slay them. This is verse 11. Do not slay them, lest my people forget. Isn't it interesting that he's already thinking of himself? Of course, he was anointed, but not crowned, of the people of Jerusalem and the people of Israel as his responsibility, his people. Do not slay them, lest my people forget. Scatter them by your power and bring them down, O Lord. So he said, don't kill them, scatter them, lest my people forget. So two things. First of all, he's thinking of more than just himself in this. But he also wants these people to remain as a horrible example. And throughout this, he's, basically saying, put them to the place where they're begging for food, and every reminder of their downfall, because if God just got rid of them, in 2 years, they'd say, who, who is this? But if you're constantly seeing an out of work general on the corner begging for food because he was on the wrong side of the law, so to speak, you will not forget. But when this is over, well, David's already thinking of the answer, but I will sing of your power. This is verse 16. I will sing aloud of your mercy in the morning. And I'm thinking, when we go through a whole bunch of caca at work, all the political backstabbing and office politics and setting you up to fail and hidden agendas? What are we talking about? Are we talking about how God got us through? Or are we talking about how clever we were with our revenge? To you, O my strength, I will sing praises, for God is my defense, my God of mercy. So, some of the bravest things that we can do is get up and go to work, especially when people aren't so nice. And you're dealing with a lot of hidden agendas and office politics and setting you up to fail so that your boss's favorite person can take your place. How do you behave? Well, it's more than just you. It's all the people that God has given you in that company. Whether you're a manager or not, those are your people. And sometimes they need to know that God can take care of you by having sort of a living testimonial of your past victories, in the sense of not just you, but your enemies being demoted in straits, and being absolutely clear that God has done it, not your political savvy, but God. But God has done it. So if you're in the middle of a whole bunch of office politics or even church politics and where you are, it's just nasty and it's not fun. Man, you got people slandering you by day and trying to get after you by night. I mean, it's relentless and you are surrounded. Yeah, you're surrounded, but by more than your enemies, by God. He's got you surrounded. He's got you. So one of the things that got me through, and I hope one of the things that'll get you through, is what are you singing about? Your political savvy or God's power to get you through? So I hope you have a fabulous day. I'll put the text in the thing where you click more. And if you want to hit the subscribe button, it's up to you. But onward and upward. Talk to you later. Bye.